Welcome to Deadly Dames. So, Claire and I were recovering from a night of drinking Prosecco. Don't do it, the bubbles are lethal. I've not been well most of the morning, but you've been okay.
I'm always okay.
Yeah, but I drank more than you did, so that's my excuse. But, so yeah, because we've been feeling a little bit rough all day, we've just been watching loads of films, which got us being able to watch some of the to-be-watch pile. And two of the ones that we needed to watch was the Nucleus ones that we got through. And luckily both of them were actually really, really good. So the first one we actually watched was Deathship. And I really liked Deathship. It was quite funny. It's kind of like The Car, but on the sea. Like, if you've ever seen the movie The Car, obviously it's just about a killer, soulless car that nobody's driving that goes about murdering people. It's similar in a way with this one.
Aye, but I think in The Car you like all the characters in it, whereas this one there's some of them that you really don't like.
Well, you don't really get to know them. But I suppose in The Car you don't really get to know folk either.
But the difference with this is that they end up on the ship, so the ship deliberately crashes into this cruise liner and the survivors end up on this ship. But
they end up on a raft firstly, and they think they're going to be stuck adrift on the sea, and then they see this ship going by, and for the minute they're not even on the ship, and things start to happen. And
the ship picks and chooses who it wants, so it's not like there's ghosts as such on the ship. It's actually the ship that's killing people.
Like if you've ever gone into a place, like I remember when I was looking for a house to buy, I went into this flat and it just felt horrible, like something bad had happened in it. I think this is kind of what the ship is, that something bad has happened or really bad things have happened on this ship, and that's kind of what it's powered by, is just probably like the memory of the really bad things that happened.
Like there's a scene where a guy, is he reaching for something, but anyway his hand ends up getting caught in a bit of machinery, but the ship actually sucks his arm in, and you know that it's quite a horrible death.
Well, a lot of the deaths in this are horrible, but I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the acting was really good in it as well. Even the kids, like you, it sounds terrible, we say this a lot in videos, but usually when there's kids in movies, the kids ruin it, and you kind of just want them to, like, kick it, so you don't have to watch their annoying faces anymore. But in this one, even the kids were quite enjoyable. You didn't really want them to die at the end. It's quite funny because there's a scene where the kids are like jumping at the water, and it kind of really does look like they chucked the children into the water in that.
They probably did.
It's quite funny because we watched the making of it afterwards. The actor was saying that the ship that they got was like a retired old ship. They don't even really know what type of ship it was, but it smelt really, really bad inside. And where they filmed, like I think it was a lake they said they used, wasn't it?
There was a lot of waste that was dumped there.
So they basically said the water was the water basically could have hepatitis in it, and they were at risk of catching it by going in the water. And then one of the actors was like, I'm not going in that water. And in his particular scene in it, he says he got cut and everything, and he was like, they just didn't want to even think about how bad the water was that they were in. But I thought it was a really, really good movie. There was a couple of scenes in it you could kind of tell they weren't quite sure what type of film they were making. Like, is this going to be a bloody horror? Is it going to be a ghost story? Is it going to be... you could tell they were a wee bit kind of like, well, I'm not really 100% sure what type of movie this is going to be, but overall I actually really, really enjoyed Deathship. It was good.
I would say that if you like The Car and you like The Shining, then you
or even like Ghost Ship. If you like Ghost Ship, it's got all these sorts of things in it. The second movie that we watched was Bloodbath at the House of Death. Now this has primarily like British actors in it, and you're probably going to like this movie if you like the sort of humour that's in things like the Carry On films. Yeah, it's the easiest way I can get. In fact, after watching this, I pre-ordered you the complete Carry On box set because we just started talking about how funny the Carry On movies were because the humour's so similar. It was hilarious from beginning to end. Well, we were killing ourselves laughing. And the thing with it was that a lot of modern comedies, they rely on three things: sex jokes, drug jokes, and what was the other thing that we said?
Well,
fart jokes, wasn't it?
Fart jokes, dick jokes, and drug jokes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all that you usually have in modern comedies, and that can only take you so far. I personally think that it takes a lot to make a really good comedy, like comedy movie. You need to have a bit of slapstick in it. You need to have a bit of obvious humour, but you don't need to have fart, dick, and
it needs to be more than
dope
that.
jokes. You don't need to have that. You can have loads of other things that are funny. And this movie showed that you could do this. There's very simple things that you could do that are funny.
Don't get me wrong, though. I think that some of it was predictable. Like, I guessed some of the gags before they happened,
but they were still funny.
At the time that it was made, though, that probably wasn't copied a million times. Like, there's a scene in this film where there's a bit of a sex scene with a ghost, and you see like a cigarette floating in the air, kind of, you know,
like what happened in Scary Movie 2, but obviously this movie was made before Scary Movie 2, so...
And there's a lot of gags that I think that are in this film that you've seen copied in films later on, and lots of films have probably done it, but it was still really good.
Oh, we killed ourselves laughing at they obviously kind of took inspiration and mocked in a way some really classic movies. Like there was an obvious Carrie scene, but it was really, really funny the way it was done. And what was the one near the end that they done a scene from a movie?
Oh.
Because remember, it was Alien. It was the Alien scene. And then instead of an alien popping it just lets out a massive burp, which we thought was funny. But it was funny because it's so, like, hammy is really the only way to describe it. Like, the humour that's in it.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, is that the humour is very much like the Carry On films. So if you enjoyed films like Comedy of Terrors and the Carry On films, you probably really
you would enjoy it. There's a funny scene in it with Vincent Price, because the thing is, like, Vincent Price is obviously a horror icon. He's a legend when it comes to horror films, and I think a lot of people associate him with kind of like Roger Corman movies, but he is actually really, really funny, Vincent Price, when you let him go with it. And in this scene here, one of the characters tells him to piss off, and then he goes into this massive rant about who he is, and then right at the end he basically says, "No, you piss off." And it was just the way it's done is really funny, because all he actually had to say is, "No, you fuck off," or "You piss off," but instead he went into this great big 5-10 minute rant of who he was before saying, "No, you piss off." And it was just so well done, it was funny. And even the scene where, you know, with the guys trying to light the matches, that scene was dead funny as well.
Oh.
The ending's funny. I mean, it is so random, the ending, but it is just funny. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was so fun. I was actually trying to watch this last night when I was feeling a little bit... I drank too much and I knew it was coming back, so I was trying to keep myself awake so that, because I knew it was going to happen at some stage, so I was trying to watch this film, but I kept missing it all because I was either falling asleep or having to do a dash to the bathroom. But I'm glad that we finally got to see the end of it, because it was worth it. It was an absolute amazing and great funny film. I'd definitely watch it again. I'd watch both of these movies again.
I'd watch them again too.
We also watched the Lost Souls Doom Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau. This is a documentary about the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau, and I knew, because obviously I've seen the movie itself, and I don't think the movie's as messed up as people try and make it out to be. They say it's like one of the worst movies ever made.
It's definitely not.
No, one of the worst
ever made. Catwoman.
Howling 3 is one of the worst movies.
And Catwoman. It's miles away from being as bad as those two.
I definitely didn't know all the things that happened on it. I'd heard and read things, but this documentary was so good because you actually got to see the fact that, let's face it, Richard Stanley was a bit of a nutter when you watch it. I mean, he believed in witchcraft and stuff like that, and each to their own, but this guy actually was like 100% into getting somebody to curse, like to do witchcraft so that his movie would go okay, and hid up trees and then ran into the wilderness rather than going away after he got fired. And I mean, the movie was just pretty much all over the place. It was...
I think, though, what they were saying in the documentary is that he was in his early 20s and he was doing this massive budget film. It was his third film, and he had to deal with like divas like Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer, who both had reputations for being
arseholes. Aye.
So I think it was probably quite an ambitious project for him, and he obviously really cared about.
Like he had a lot of passion and a lot of vision of
but
what he wanted the story to be.
I think what they were highlighting in the documentary is that he didn't get a hell of a lot of support, and I think for a young guy, it's his first massive budget film dealing with people like Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando, and all the other things like sets getting flooded. That's quite a lot of responsibility for one person at that age, with all that money, and it's such a shame because see if he was properly supported, it could have been so much better.
It could have been a different movie. I'm still glad that they got to make the movie. I'm going to do the actual movie itself because after I watched the documentary, I actually thought we were going to watch this film. You'd never seen it before, whereas I had, and I hadn't seen this movie in about, I don't know, 8 years, 10 years, a long time. So we're going to do it I'm going to do it on a blast from the past, and you can just add in your comments about what you thought about seeing it for the first time. But it kind of prompted me to rewatch it, and I certainly wouldn't say it's one of the worst movies ever made. I mean, Claire and I kind of set ourselves a challenge of watching every single Howling movie, and The Howling 3 is definitely one of the worst movies that we've ever seen. Far, far worse than The Island of Dr. Moreau.
I would even say that Catwoman's better than The Howling 3 because at least the Catwoman storyline sort of makes sense. The Howling 3 is just...
awful.
It is, it's awful.
I think we might have to forfeit the Howling challenge because I don't think we can do it. We basically watched the Howling 3 maybe about halfway through before we realised that our souls were dying and started to kind of fast forward it, and even then it was rubbish. And then we thought, right, bugger it, we'll try and watch 4. Oh Jesus, 4 was just as bad. And do you know the fun thing is
4 was better than 3.
It was bad.
3 had a werewolf with a pouch that had a little baby werewolf inside it.
I know, but I think we may have to forfeit it, or perhaps get extremely drunk and sit all the way through the Howling movies.
I think that would make it worse. Watch on fast forward.
Fast forward the movie. But yeah, this is 3 of our to-be-watched movies that we managed to get through. Well, 2 to-be-watched movies and 1 to-be-watched documentary.
It was a really good documentary.
It was excellent. It was really good. I would recommend if you haven't seen it and you're a fan of H.G. Wells and the previous movies and this movie itself, that it's a very, very interesting watch, so I'd recommend it. But as always, thank you for watching. Any questions, please leave them below, and please like and subscribe. Take care.